going on, everybody? It's your girl, Freddie BME, the Madam of Engagement. It has been a while since I've done interviews. So, I've just been on the back end producing web series, just doing a lot of things on the back end, because when you're a one-woman show, you got to go where the money resides. So I am back to what I love to do, which is interviewing and being featured on commercials. Y'all may have seen me in an Indeed commercial and see me in the audience for Karamo's show, and also Divorce Court. So just little things. I've been busy. So make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, The Focal Spot. Please subscribe to my YouTube. I need to make some coins. So please subscribe to my YouTube at The Focal Spot. Today, now this is why y'all here. Today, I'm interviewing a multi-hyphenated legend. You know you're a legend when you have a mural in your hometown. That's how you know you're a legend. He is the CEO of Platinum Boy Records, multi-platinum producer for BadBoy and the Hitmen. Also, he's produced songs for artists such as Justin Bieber, J.Lo, 50 Cent, Trey Songz, and he was also Trey Songz' musical director and tour manager. Yes, that's just a little bit, but he got a little more. He's also a Drais nightclub resident in Las Vegas. We're going to talk more about that. Drummer, of course, at heart, educator, motivational speaker, and author. Let's get it up for Dr. Gotta put the respect on it. Dr. Antwan Amadeus Thompson. What's good, yo?
Peace and blessings. What a dope intro. Shout out. First of all, shout out to you.
Thank you.
Glad to see you back. Doing the interviews. We were on here quite some time ago during the pandemic. So it's great to see you back doing what you do. Congrats on everything that you've done. And you've been doing Miss Actress. So super salute to you. Shout out to everybody that's here, man. I'm seeing a lot of love in the building. My boy Twizzy is on here. My brother Will TaylorMade is on here. I see a lot of people showing love and checking in. Happy to be here. And grateful. It was some tough times we had to overcome, during the pandemic. I was singing a different tune back then at that time. Grateful to say that I'm in a great space today. Feeling great, feeling motivated, feeling encouraged, feeling happy, feeling at peace. I think that's very important. Besides all of the music and the accolades and everything else that comes along with what we do, I think it's very important that we be at peace and have an internal happiness. So I can definitely say that, I'm in great spirits. Once again, happy to be here with you. And again, shout out to everybody that's tuned in right now. There's so many places you can be. But the fact that you're here with us, joining in this conversation, we're both grateful and humble.
Yes, and it's safe to say he slid in my DMs, and I was actually surprised. I'm like, wow, I'm being seen, because he had peeped me from my interview I did with Vinny from Naughty by Nature.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, snap, I have a man with accolades hitting me up. It took a little while, because again, I've been doing a lot of things, so he was more than gracious to accept my interview offer this time around. So before we get to the Dr. Antwan Amadeus Thompson, let's take it back when you were, well, not take it back yet, because earlier today, you were somewhere. Where were you today?
Yeah, today was a very special day. I actually see, I'm not sure if it's a student or a teacher here that was actually there today. So I went back home, 169 from Washington Avenue is where I'm from, in the Bronx. And I had the opportunity to do a book reading for my book, The Story of Amadeus and the Beat Goes On, at the actual library that I attended when I was a little kid growing up. The Marsania branch from the New York Public Library. So that was a very, very dope moment. So many amazing young kings and queens was there from the school. And which made it even better was the fact that the kids that were present today was from the actual school that I went to as a kid, where I developed and picked up the drumsticks for the first time in 4th grade after school. So it's a different name now. Right now it's called the Harriet Tubman Charter School. Back then it was called St. Augustine School of the Arts. So to see their faces when they heard that I was from the same school and I went to the same school and was, present at the same library that we was there, at today, was just a monumental day. So it was a book reading, it was a Q&A, really some amazing students there from the hometown in the Bronx. So it's definitely a dope moment. I'm gonna give a big shout out to Dr. Brandy, who put it all together, to the New York Public Library, who believe in me and my dreams and my vision and what I do, and just approved, that this happened and this went down today. So thank you for actually, bringing that up.
Yes, and Also, this is such a pivotal, like a monumental year. Hip hop is 50 years old. Can you believe that it's 50 years old?
Crazy. Crazy. It's been around for a long time, and you know, the Bronx being the birthplace is a blessing to be from the Bronx, and to actually have played a part in over 25 years of it is another blessing. And the fact that I'm saying it to you now, I'm actually just thinking about that. I was so busy celebrating everybody else and everybody else's contributions that I didn't think about the fact that I contributed to it, you know, for 25 years. So, you know, it's a great thing. It's a life-saving thing. It's something that saved my life as a little kid because it was my outlet. It was the way for me to stay off the streets and do the right thing. So it's a powerful thing. You know, people try to downplay it, but hip hop is to me one of the biggest genres in music, period.
And real quick, because you talked about being a library person, I was a library head growing up too. Shout out to NYPL, New York Public Library.
Yes.
I think many New Yorkers went there. So I don't know what it is about that feeling, but just a real quick, since we're talking about library, what was your favorite book growing up?
What was my favorite book growing up? That's a good question. You know, see, for me, I think I was in the library because I had to go to the library. So when I went to the library, I was the kid that was probably talking or doing something that I shouldn't have been doing, playing drums on the table. You know what I mean? So I thought it was kind of cool. I think one of the most exciting things for me was having a library card.
Yes.
You know, I felt
that
like
white card.
Yeah, I felt like I was important. I felt like it was kind of like a credit card, but it really wasn't because you would go in and you would get a book and you would take it out and you would borrow it. And when you finish, you would have to bring it back. So I think it was kind of a cool thing to just own a library card to be able to take something in and out. So I think that was kind of a cool thing growing up. But like I said, growing up, you know, it was a gentleman that was there that was kind of in charge. And he was like, hey, man, I've been here since like 1986. You know, and I'm like, really? And him saying that, I'm like, yeah, you had to be here when I was coming as a little kid. And I was like, you know, you probably don't remember me, but if you do remember me, I was definitely probably the kid that was getting in trouble or making the most noise in the library, which is frowned upon. So that's probably how I'm known at the library back then.
So you were the lively one, but hey, it was your safe space, and that's why you're here today.
Absolutely.
And another thing, you know, so just a little background, he is from the Bronx, and I roll my eyes because, you know, we have our little BKBX thing, but I'm going to be nice this time.
Thank you.
But all jokes aside, though, the Bronx wasn't easy growing up. So how was that like growing up, especially today's Bronx ain't yesterday's Bronx. So how was it like for you growing up in the Bronx?
Oh, it was difficult, man. It was difficult. You know, I grew up on 169 for Washington again. My block was called the 9, not from the 9 from the 169, but literally, you know, the Glock 9, unfortunately. A lot of violence, a lot of negativity, you know, drugs, gangs, you know, just like everywhere else, you know. And I think what kept me safe was my parents being, you know, tough parents. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't really do what everybody else could do. If I went to the store, I got time to go to the corner store. You know, we lived on the 4th floor, so my moms would look out the window, watching me literally go to the store and come back because that's the type of environment that we were in. And back then, I didn't understand it. I consider my parents to be hating and not allowing me to live my life and be free as a young kid. But now as an adult that has his own kids, it's like, wow, they were protecting me. They were trying to keep me out of harm's way. But as a kid, you don't really realize that, and you don't really understand that. You just want to go outside and have fun. So it was tough, man. And you know, that's why I really take time to go to the kids now and have conversations and speak to them and just let them know that I do care and that they do matter to me and that I want them to live their dreams like how I'm living mine, because I feel like as bad as it was back then, I feel like it's even worse now. You know, I didn't have social media. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have things at my fingertips where if I wanted to put in whatever, I can type in and Google it and it'll pop up and it's right there in front of my face. Like we had actual things that you had to grab and touch, you know, videotapes, you know, different books. Like you can just go online now, type in whatever you want to type in, and it's right in front of you. So I think, you know, technology it has a lot of pros and cons, you know, when it comes to it. So, you know, I try to be a light to these kids to just show them like there's other ways of going in life. There's other things you can do in life that doesn't, you know, involve you standing on the corner or being negative.
Now, real quick, because besides the library that saved your life, what else saved your life in the Bronx?
Church. You know, church. At first, I was forced to go. You know, my parents they didn't play no games. They was just like, listen, we going Sunday. You know, you can act up a fool, you can act like you sleep, you act like you ain't, but you gonna go, you gonna get this belt, which is the difference between growing up back then and now. Like we used to get them beatings, you know, back in the day. So yeah, church definitely saved my life. At first it was forced, but then once I had the moment to be a part of the music ministry and be a musician, you know, that kind of was what I looked forward to. So at a certain point, my mom didn't have to force me to go. I kind of went on my own will because I was excited about being a part of music and playing drums there. Shout out to my sister. My sister's on here. Hi, Pearls.
Hey, sister. And then with that, because you also mentioned your school visiting you, isn't that where you first learned how to how to play the drums?
Yeah. So I had to. So in the school I went to, St. Augustine, we had to choose a musical instrument. I wanted to learn how to play the saxophone or the trumpet. I was absent on the day that we were able to choose that. So the next day when I went, the only thing left was the violin and percussion. Again, I'm from the Bronx, I'm from the hood. I'm already dressing up to go to school. I had a little street smarts in me to know walking through the hood with a violin case wasn't it. So I chose percussion, not even knowing what it meant. Walked into the classroom, saw that I had everything to do with rhythm, started playing, and you know, and found my love, and never put the drumsticks down ever since.
Now, you so the past few minutes you've been talking about kind of straddling the fence between being a private school kid and navigating the Bronx. What advice do you have for people navigating both worlds?
Man, you know, it was something I couldn't run from because my parents made sure that I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to, you know, finishing up in high school. I was trying to go all kind of different schools. I was trying to go to music schools, and you know, they weren't having it. And you know, my dad passed away last summer.
Condolences.
Thank you. And I remember us having a conversation, you know, earlier last year before he passed, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, you know, us sending you to that school was strategic. You know what I mean? Like you were really doing good from the 1st to 8th grade, and we wanted you to continue to do good. And if the less distractions you have, you know, we felt like the better you would be. You know, so like the school I attended, Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx, that was an all-boys school. And I was so pissed, and we talked about it, my dad. I was pissed. I was like, "Yo, how can you do this to me? How can you send me to an all-boys school? Like what's the plan here? Like, what are you trying to get me to do?
Right.
Why wouldn't you allow me to be in school with girls too?" And the whole idea was to get me to focus on what I needed to focus on, and I feel like that was the best thing possible. Because you know, us young fellas, man, we are young whippersnappers. You know, can't stay focused. Girls over there, girls over there. I can't say you would have an Amadeus if they didn't make that decision to send me, you know, to that school, all boys school, where we developed a brotherhood, and I was able to get the proper support that I needed from my brothers, and was able to pursue the music career. So I'm grateful. Again, I didn't get it back then, you know, but now as I look back as an adult, man, it's like, wow, you know, parents, you know, they know what they're doing, man. They're not perfect, but they know what they're doing. And you have to trust them that they know what they're doing, and they protect you at the end of the day.
Part 2 to that, pretty much, what advice do you have for people that want to do something? Because you say you didn't want to do the violin because of your environment. You already was struggling wearing your uniform.
Word.
What advice do you have for people that want to do things that is not necessarily in their societal norms?
Right. And like I was saying earlier, I feel like it's a little easier to kind of, for one, to be themselves today. You know, you have so much love and support from the world, depending on the situation, of course, whether it's sexuality, whether it's choice, whether it's pronouns. Like there's so many different things that you have that people have the support of today. So, you know, I think it's a little easier now. But you know, for me, like I said, I didn't look at myself as being soft or whack or weak for picking up a violin, because, you know, my name is Amadeus. I chose Amadeus. Amadeus is a classical composer, so I have super love for symphony and the orchestra. But it was just a sense of like a self-protecting kind of thing, where it's like, okay, I'm already dressed up. I don't want to be a target. I don't want people to pick on me or to, you know, try to do me harm because they see me dressed up, black, you know, young man dressed up with a violin case. So I figured if I got drumsticks in my hand, you know, dressed up, it might put a different energy. And again, and it's sad that it has to be that way. But, you know, you have to watch your surroundings. You have to protect yourself and your surroundings. So that was kind of a defense mechanism that I built as a little kid. So for the kids that are on here, if any, even people, adults, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, be you, do you, do you unapologetically. You know, don't be concerned about others. Don't be concerned about what people think, what people feel, what people believe. It's just, if it's what you want, if it's what you're after, if it's in your heart, then go after that, no matter what, whether you have support or not. So that would be the advice that I would give to those that are tuned in right now.
Now, you mentioned your name Amadeus and a composer. Get deeper into that for people that may not know what Amadeus means.
So Amadeus is Wolfgang Mozart Amadeus. You know, I remember being a little kid watching the movie in school. And it was funny because I talked about it today at the library with the kids. I was like, you know, they put the movie on. I was like kind of sort of watching it because I was too busy like trying to figure out which one of the girls I was going to sit next to in my class when I was growing up. But then as the movie was going on and as I kept getting in trouble by the teacher, you know, I just started let me just chill out and just watch it. And as I watched it, I learned that we had a lot in common. You know, Amadeus is very young, very talented, very gifted. You know, chased the little girls all around the place that was at his school, you know, but was a genius, you know. So, and that was when I was a little kid watching that movie. So it didn't really come up till later on when I decided I wanted to be a music producer that name would be fitting. And I didn't like it at first. It kind of grew on me as I heard people saying the name and calling me Amadeus. It kind of grew on me, and I started to like it. But I knew where it comes from. I just wasn't sure if the hip hop community would embrace it because of where I got the name from, and maybe they weren't familiar with who he was. But I kind of wanted to be like the hip hop Amadeus, the R&B Amadeus, the pop R&B Amadeus. We had the classical one, but I wanted to be the modern Amadeus of our time. So that's kind of, you know, why I chose the name, and the movie was very influential on why I did that.
Also, Amadeus, just FYI, stands for, I think, like love God, or the love of God.
It means loves God. Yeah, loves God. Absolutely. Yep. But and I learned that later. Mm-hmm. I learned that later on, and when I learned that, it was just super fitting, you know, for who I am. Definitely a God-fearing man and a man that loves God, because at the end of the day, if none of this would be possible, it would be no me if it wasn't for God. So, you know, God over everything and everybody.
It also stands for the love of bags, because we're going to talk about it later. He stayed collecting the bag, okay? As I mentioned in his intro, this man stays collecting a bag, which is drummer, producer, score creator, tour manager. So we're going to go from the drumming side, how he picked up drumming, to how did you become a producer? Like, how did you go from, you know what, I'm going to drum, and now be like, you know what, I want to produce. How did that transition happen?
Right. What up, Kev? I see you, Kev. It kind of, you know, it was kind of like a cheat code when you think about it. Me being that I was a musician and I was a drummer, kind of had like the upper edge when it comes to understanding beats, drum patterns, and production. I really didn't know what it was called, production. I just loved music and kind of loved the background music. That's what I was calling it back then. I really wasn't a lyrical dude. I could never recite lyrics still to this day. But if you was like, yo, man, you know, that you know, all about the Benjamins, and I can definitely start, you know, beating, you know, banging on the table and hitting the pattern and the beat pattern, you know, more than reciting the lyrics. And that's just kind of who I was. So, you know, being a drummer, like I said, I felt like it was a cheat code, and it was an easier way for me to just produce because I had everything to do with drums. So that's you know, nothing too crazy. That's all.
Got it. So how did you end up working with Diddy?
Man, that kind of came later. Like when I connected with BadBoy, I had already produced for 50 artists, so I had developed a name and a brand and a resume for myself. When I kind of came to BadBoy, I was always a hustler, man. I was always a hustler person, to try to figure it out on my own. I didn't want any handouts. I didn't want any help. Anyone who really knows me knows, like I'm not one that asks for much. If I can figure it out, I'm gonna figure it out. If I can't, I'm gonna still try to figure it out, and then figure it out tomorrow, and not still try to figure it out before I ask. Like that's like their last resort. So yeah, when that whole BadBoy thing came about, shout out to Sherry Dennis. We're working on her album. I produced a record called "Waiting" for her. Puff heard it. The whole BadBoy family heard it. Felt it was a really unique record, based off of the other records that you know, that were on her album that the other Hitmen did. And it kind of raised eyebrows a little bit, like, well, who did that one? there's no young kid named Amadeus is, really doing his thing. He's gonna come up out here. And that's how I got his attention. Prior to that, I was always around Daddy's house, which is the studio where all of the hits were made. So I was kind of in and out, whether playing musical beats for the A&Rs or the artists. D-Dot, legendary producer Derek D-Dot Angeletti, is actually my son's godfather. So he's one of my mentors. Buck Wild, legendary Hitmen producer, one of my mentors. Buck Wild produced Biggie's Story Gotta Tell. I Got a Story to Tell. He produced Faith Evans' I Love You. He produced Black Rob's Whoa. Derek D. Angeletti did Hypnotized, Benjamin's Money, Power, and Respect. So these are my big brothers, that are part of the team that were always influential. So, again, when that opportunity came for me to be a hitman, it was something that I had to do, a dream that I've always dreamt as a little kid. And people will be like, well, they used to ask me, why would you do that if you already had a name for yourself, right? And I would compare it to, the Chicago Bulls. And I would be like, imagine having a chance to play on, on the winning team. Imagine having a chance, to play for Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson is Puff Daddy. That's the coach. You know what I'm saying? Biggie, rest in peace. Biggie is Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Mace is Scottie Pippen. So it's like, Amadeus, now we want you to play on the Chicago Bulls, the bad boy. Why wouldn't I want to do that? So that's kind of how, I looked at things, and it was definitely a life-changing moment. And once a bad boy hitman, always a bad boy hitman. You heard?
You heard.
You heard.
But I also heard, his work ethic was quite up there. So did he have you chasing, what was it? Cheesecakes across the bridge and stuff?
Nah, none of that. I witnessed some of the things because, when I became a part of Bad Boy, was Danny Decane, Day 26 era, making the band era. So, I know what's up. But nah, I already had a name. I already had been established as a producer, so I didn't have to work for no cheesecake and nothing like that. I came in and earned his respect out the gate. You know what I mean? So, but shout out to the band, man. Shout out to the band.
And in that time, speaking of creating a name for yourself, you created Platinum Boy Records. You were young when you made it, but what inspired you to create it? Like, why did you create Platinum Boy Records?
So actually, it's more so of a production company, Platinum Boy Music. I had
my record, music, sorry.
So good, but I did have artists at one time, so you're good. Don't worry. But it was more of like a production company. I kind of wanted to create a home that housed other creatives, musicians and producers and songwriters, stuff like that, to kind of help create hits. One thing that I learned before I was a part of Bad Boy, when you would look at the album credits, you would see multiple people's name on there. And that's something that I was always trying to figure out as a youngin', like, why is there like so many people saying that it's produced by? And then once I became a hitman and you kind of get to see how Puff works, you saw like everybody was kind of in the room or different rooms working at the same time, kind of walking in whatever their area of expertise was, So if someone is powerful on drums, they're gonna be working on the drums. If a dude over there, he got the samples and he digging in the crates, it go a sample. You might got Stevie J and Marion Winans on the keys, on the guitar or on a live drum. So that's kind of what it was in regards to taking individuals and using them in regards to what they're great at. You might be dope at drums. You might be dope at piano. You know what I'm saying? You might be dope at playing bass lines. You might be dope at finding samples. So if we bring everybody together that's dope in their respective way, it's about building a masterpiece that includes everybody that's in the room. So that's kind of, the vision that I got from him and Bad Boy. And I kind of wanted to just, recreate the cycle.
And I want to reiterate, for my millennials, Gen X's, he is one of the producers responsible for the millennial sound. It's definitely a unique sound in the 2000s and 2010s. However, you saw the industry change in your eyes. How was that like for you? How did you adjust? Right. I should say.
It can be difficult. It has its moments. I think what really changed the game for me was technology. Right. I started on keyboards and live instrumentation and, drum machines, MPCs and different things. Right. When you fast forward today, where you can just have a laptop and software or a DAW and you can create. Like that's not the era that I'm from. I'm from where we record and they're recording to 2-inch tape. You know what I'm saying? And if you mess up, we got to stop. We got to go roll the tape, cut the part out that you messed up on, put the tape back together. And those two big circles that used to be in the studio, tape machine. You know, now everything is digital. Now everything is on the computer. It's a different thing, right? And now, you know, I feel like there's a certain level of oversaturation where there's so many people that wants to be artists and producers because it's now accessible. Back then it wasn't accessible, so it really wasn't the thing to do, you know? So to me, you know, being able to evolve with technology, wanting to learn, I was definitely really stubborn when it came to that, only because of when you have a certain way of working and creating, you know, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now I got to try to figure out this when I've been doing this my whole career. You know, that was very frustrating and was a difficult moment, but I had to do it, right? But in regards to the sound, you know, I was always big on collaborating. I was always big on collaborating. At first, I always wanted to do everything myself. I don't know if it was a pride and ego thing. I don't know if it was a thing of trying to prove something to myself or the world that I can do it on my own, which I can. But I really started really doing some amazing things once I started collaborating with fellow musicians and fellow music producers, because it's just a different way to view things, right? We all have our own eyes and our own lenses, and we see things differently. So if you put 4, 3, 2, 10 people in one room, you know, those are all different perspectives that you can see things through, whether it's education, whether it's music, whether it's just life in general, whether it's opinions. So I just feel like the more people that you put together to brainstorm on something, the better the outcome is, because there's a bunch of different ideas being shared in one room that allow, you know, everybody to just throw their area of expertise in, and you have something great. So that's my take on that.
Speaking of, it's a good thing that you adapted to technological changes, because what does the number 621,859,743 mean to you as of 2022? Is a clue you received a plaque for it?
Oh, no, I was like, is that how long I've been here on Earth?
621,859,743.
Man,
that had to do with something you pivoting.
I'm gonna go get it too.
You better show it.
I'm gonna go get it too, because I've never spoke on it until, you know, you brought it up. So yeah, that's what it is. So basically these are the amount of streams that I had for the year of 2022. And it was crazy because you know, like that during that time I really wasn't working like that musically. I kind of took a break from everything. So it kind of breaks down, like, so the songs that I produced was Shazammed over 2.7 million times. The videos on Instagram, I think TikTok was 11K. The views on TikTok and Instagram, all of that was 57 million. I was on 6.6 thousand charts.
Wow.
4.7 thousand playlists, and reached 105 million on playlists. So, you know, kind of numbers you don't really think about. I didn't think about it until it you know, I got this and I was like, okay, that's kind of a pretty cool moment. But it's a blessing, you know. Like I said, I appreciate you even bringing that up, because I've never spoke on it. I have it here, but I've never spoke on it, you know. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
We gotta recognize the Dr. Super Producer. Like, some people are trying to get some streams. You're in the 600 million plus now.
Excuse me, and it's a little dusty too, so it just made me sneeze.
You mentioned taking a break. So taking a break from producing, another pivotal thing, one thing about Amadeus, he is the king of pivoting. You pivoted from producer to musical director and tour manager. How did you get into that?
So myself, Mike Jones, Trey Songz was in the studio working on a song called I Know. That was for Mike Jones' album years ago. And there was a drum set in the corner, and I kind of just threw it out there like, yo, I play drums. And both Mike Jones and Trey Songz both laughed hysterically. And I'm like, what are y'all laughing at? Like this is real. Like I'm really a drummer. I really play drums. And they just laughed, and I was like, all right, cool. And I mentioned to Trey. I said, yo, bro, you know, this is I think he had put out his first album, so this is brand new Trey, braids. And I'm like, yo, the music you're making is very soulful, and you know, you're gonna need a live band, and when you do, reach out. That's it.
Selfless plug.
You know, put it out there. We went back to finish the record. After the record was done, we was in Houston. Trey flew to Atlanta. I flew to New York. Mike Jones was already home in Houston. He stayed in Houston. He was good. A year goes by. I get a phone call. Yo, Delonte, this is Trey's manager. You know, I got your number from Trey. He told me that, when he was ready to put a band together, that you was going to put the band together. And he was like, you ready to put the band together? And I was like, no. He said, well, you told Trey you was going to put the band together. And Trey only wants you to put the band together because you told him he was putting it together. And you was the only one in the first one to tell him that you was going to put the band together. So now he's ready for you to put the band together. And it was a moment of like, man, I didn't spoke this up. I spoke this into existence. And I don't even know how to put a band together, So what I did was I went and got my brothers. Shout out to Butters. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Ricky from my church that I played alongside all my life. I was like, yo, y'all want to do this quick show with Trey Songz? And it was like, all right, cool. Did the show in the city, New York. R&B Spotlight Live, it's what it called. Killed it. And like a week later, they were just like, y'all want to go on tour? So we was like, all right, cool. Now, as a church musician, that's one of the things we dream of the most, is to be able to play huge arenas and big audiences and big crowds. And, finally got the chance, right? So we like, all right, cool. Went and did the tour. Got off that tour, killed it. Y'all want to go on another tour? And I think the first one was like a BET tour. I think it was like us, Day 26, and Jay Holiday, if I'm not mistaken, something in that vein. Mario, something. Did that tour. After we finished that tour, the next tour was Jay-Z, opening up on the Blueprint 3 tour.
Wow.
Did that tour. Y'all want to go on tour again? Did the Usher OMG tour. Both here in the States, overseas. So then in between we had our own tours. We did an Anticipation tour. We did I forgot the other tours, but we did a bunch of different tours. Long story short, that one thing of me mentioning to Trey, getting a phone call a year later, turned into us being on tour for 15 years.
Ooh,
present
wow.
day. Yeah, so life changed. A life changed for all of us. I was no longer the musician at my church because I was on the road nonstop. And it was difficult. It's difficult for my pastor, who was pissed because I took all of the musicians from the church when we on tour. And I remember coming back and she was just like, why would you do that? And I was like, Pastor, like I promised you, they asked us to do one show, and then it turned into one show to another show, and then it turned into a tour, and then the rest is history, And then she just kept saying why, and I said, for me, it was about eating with my brothers. I could have called a bunch of different musicians. I could have did auditions. I could have found anybody, but I was like, this is a dope moment. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm going to call my brothers who I've dreamt with, that have the same dreams as me, who have come from the same place as me, that hustle mentality. And I didn't know it was going to be over this, and she kind of understood, that the church had a whole different line of musicians, and it was a crazy moment. But she understood. And one thing that she never did was hold anyone back, from living their dreams and pursuing their dreams. And, I just want to give a shout out to her because she actually passed away during the pandemic. And for those that do have the book, The Story of Amadeus, I talk about her. I created a really special moment in the book for her, because without her, there would be, no me. She when I asked her to play drums at church, she said a yes. Anything I asked her to do musically, it was always a yes, right? And I remember her one day telling me why. And she was like, I never heard you play. I didn't even know where you can play. She was like, but it was the fact of I knew where you were from, and I knew where your neighborhood, and I knew what you were surrounded by. So if that was going to keep you out from being out there and in the streets and in the world, then it's a yes. So that was a life-saving moment. So rest in peace to my pastor, to my bishop, Michelle White. The legacy continues. I will always shout her name. I would always spread her name and share with the world who she is and what she's done, for me in my life.
Now, speaking of pandemic, and I think this played a role about your book, from musical director to a drummer to now author. How did you decide to, I'm going to write a book?
It's something I always wanted to do. I just never had the time. right?
Touring for
And
15 years will do that.
right. I'm always on the go, whether it's touring with Trey or it's in the studio or me doing in Las Vegas at Drais. It's always movement. And then, I'm a man too. I have kids, I have a family. It's like, I have siblings, you know what I'm saying? My mom, my dad, so it's kind of hard to balance it all. Very difficult to balance it all. It sometimes kind of leads to negativity because family is family and they want your time and they want to be around you. And they want you at different events and they want you at monumental moments and sometimes, able to be there, So yeah, it was a time where I had nowhere to go, literally nothing to do. And I got it done. And it was very difficult because it was during a time where I was, everybody was mentally challenged, afraid, fearful of their lives, of this COVID thing that was going crazy in the world. But I had to get it done. And, just kind of to give you a little history, I've always went to schools and spoke to students at schools and pushed them to live their dreams. But I felt like I needed to have something tangible for them to be able to refer back to. You go into these schools and you have these conversations. Some are paying attention, some are not. It goes in one ear and out the other. And some, the moment they leave that building, you're finished. It's done.
Right.
But I wanted to leave something that they can go home and read, that they can refer back to when they're doubtful, when they're fearful, when they don't believe, when they're doubting themselves. That my man Amadeus pulled up to the school. He gave me this book. And did what he needs to do, and I can go back to that and be encouraged by that, So I think that was a really big thing for me, and just to share the story of how, I became who I am today, because I'm sure it resonates with everybody in the world because everyone has a story. So big shout out to Lynn Thompson and Trina Stackhouse. Those two are my co-authors on the book. Couldn't have done it without them. We spent hours and hours on the phone during the pandemic, talking about my story, them listening and sharing the details, reliving all of those moments. So it was a great thing. My mama just said hi.
Yes.
My mom is in DR with my sister. My sister took her to DR for Mother's Day. So they're out in DR on the beach watching IG Live. That's how y'all feel? Is that how you feel?
Speaking of, you keep saying shout outs, which I don't know if a lot of people know. I actually found out about this in a documentary. Big shout outs actually started off with Video Music Box, Ralph McDaniels. And I think,
Ralph.
Just hip hop love, Bronx native. That's in our vernacular. So I just wanted to shout that out. No pun intended.
Yo, Video Music Box was everything to me. Like before MTV, I don't know if MTV was there before. I don't know, but the channel that we got at our crib was
Channel 31,
Video Music Box.
Channel 27.
You feel me? So I think it was like a public, right? Wasn't it a public access channel? So right,
Mm-hmm.
Before there was cable, before we was buying cable and affording cable, because I think MTV was on cable.
Yep.
We had Video Music Box, and that was where I saw all the videos from Naughty by Nature to KRS-One to Brand Nubian to Wu-Tang, and seeing those videos like, yo, one day, man, I'm gonna be on TV. One day, I'm gonna have these plaques on the wall. One day, I'm gonna be driving this car. One day, I'm gonna be rocking this piece of jewelry. Like that was where you looked at and wanted to be, those individuals that you saw on TV, man. So big shout out to Uncle Ralph McDaniels, actually my big bro, my mentor, someone that loves and respects what I've done musically. So for that to even be the case is a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to Uncle Ralph, man. Video Music Box, legendary.
Yes. What is something in the book that people might be surprised to learn about you?
That's a good question. Maybe the cereal that I left. I ate Cheerios, Kaboom, Kicks.
I love Kicks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
See,
yes.
So back when you're growing up in the hood, man, we had the food stamps and all of those different things. So it was certain cereals, that you can get with the food stamps. You know what I'm saying? So I remember wanting to, and it's a blessing to be able to say I remember wanting the good, like the Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks and Frosted Flakes, you know what I'm saying? And that wasn't a part of, matter of fact, I remember what it's called, WIC. It wasn't part of the WIC pro. There it is. Tazlini, I'm probably tearing your name up. The WIC. The WIC, you got cheese, you got different cereals, and Kicks was a part of the WIC program. Kaboom was part of the WIC program. There's another joint that was a part of it too, but those are the different cereals that I can, that I was able to get, and it's a blessing because we weren't able to get, my mom would go to the supermarket and get the cereals that were non-frills, if that makes sense. Like she would get Fruit Loops, but it wasn't like Fruit Loop.
It was
Fruit Loops,
Hootie Hoops or something like that.
Hoops, Ready Hoops, and guess what? Them joints tasted just like Fruit Loops or whatever it was. And when you think about it, now we understand branding. They're all made by the same people.
It really is.
I have a meme that is a lighter, right? There's 4 lighters on the meme. It's a picture of 4 lighters. The first picture of the lighter is just a picture of the lighter. There's a white lighter. The second picture of the lighter has a Louis Vuitton logo on it. Mm-hmm. The third picture of the lighter has Supreme logo on it. And the fourth one was like a Gucci logo, right? Now, the moral of the story from this meme is that they're all lighters.
Same brand. That
all cost $5.
Yep.
Right? The moment you slap a logo on the lighter, it changes the price. So just because Louis Vuitton put their logo on that lighter, now that lighter went from $5 to $500. Just because Supreme put their logo on that lighter, it went from $5 to $1,000. And I showed my son and I showed my nephew that because I was trying to explain to them branding and how you can get a pair of jeans for $40 or you can get a pair of jeans for $1,000. They're the same jeans, somebody just put their name on the inside and put a name tag, and because of that name tag, they're able to hike those jeans up to $1,000. You know what I'm saying? So, I didn't get that back then, but I get it now. And now and just my mom's is on here, my sister's on here. I want to give a big shout out to my mom's because she did whatever she needed to do, and my dad too, to make sure we ate, to make sure that we were taken care of. We was always fly, you know what I'm saying? We was always suited and booted. We had a party every year for our birthdays, big parties too, big parties. It was Christmas always happened, Thanksgiving always happened, and I'm saying that right because as an adult, you see what it takes to do all of those things. When you have kids and it's Christmas time, it's time to put stuff under that tree. Yo, man, it don't just appear or just happen. Like you, as a parent, you hustle and you make it happen. So you just think about all of the sacrifices that we make today as adults, and it just reminds us of all of the sacrifices that are made for us when we were kids. And it just allows us to be super grateful, for our parents and the sacrifices that we made. Big shout out to Melissa LeBron, Windows of Hip Hop. I see you, Queen. And happy birthday to the one and only, the legend himself, Bronx hero, super artist, super writer, Melly Mel, Grandmaster Melly Mel.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Grandmaster Melly Mel. Again, big shout out to Melissa, Windows of Hip Hop. Love you guys. Big Bronx energy. A lot of people popping up. A lot of people popping in today.
Yes, they are. I appreciate that. You've been in the game for a while. Mm-hmm. Safe to say there's no controversy with you. You've worked with people who have gotten into some things, whether it's true or not. How do you avoid all of that?
Man, I try to stay out the way. And I'm anybody that knows me knows if my job is done, I'm out. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you can't enjoy yourself, and hang out and stay out of trouble. You can. I just feel like what we do in the scene that we're in, it's a lot of negativity out there. So like even like Torn, I'll give you an example from Torn. Once we do the shows, 9 times out of 10, it's probably an after party somewhere. And it's just never been my thing. No judgment to anybody else. Shout out to the artists because they're going in there and getting the bag. So you learn that too. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go in here and stand in the club on the couch and have a drink for free when XYZ or the artists that are in here are getting the bag. It's like, nah, I want to figure out how to get the bag. And then I'll pull up to the club, which I would do. I used to do that a lot. I used to go overseas and host parties after our shows. Trey used to be like, yo, where we going at? Where we at tonight, Dave? I'm like, yo, we over here. I'm hosting a club over here in London. Pull up to my party, or Trey have his party. And so I would get the love and support from Trey, which is dope because not all artists would allow that. Like, yo, I got to after party. You can't have an after party if I got to after party. It's like, yo, I'm going to go do my joint. Dais, what's yours? Yours over here. I'm going to go over here and do that. And I'm going to come pull up on you, over here at your party. So that's what we did, So I'm always that guy that's trying to figure it out, man. How can I eat? How can I get the bag? How can I make this beneficial? And I want to be clear for everybody that's tuned in. It's not that I'm money hungry, right? Or materialistic. It's just like, it just has to be beneficial. Wherever I am in the world, it has to be beneficial. If it's not any benefits from me, whether it's financial, whether it's networking, whether it's an opportunity for me to build with an artist to get on their album, like if it ain't beneficial, I don't want no parts of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at, and always been, and still to this day. Like listen, if I wasn't a resident at Drais nightclub,
which
as
speak
a musician,
on that, how did you get that when you're done?
I would not. You would not find me in the club. The only reason I'm in the club bi-weekly or weekly is because I'm going in there and I'm creating, an experience for the people that are saying, hey, let's go to Vegas for my birthday. Let's go turn a five girl. Let's go turn a five homeboy. And for me to enhance that experience and for them to, to have a great time, and me to enhance the music and the songs that they love as I'm playing live to it on drums is a beautiful thing. And just to answer your question, so Trey has a residency there as well. We was performing with Trey for about 2 or 3 years. One random night, there was a gentleman standing next to me before I was about to perform, and he was like, "Hey man, why don't you get up there and play drums alongside the DJ?" And I looked at him, and I'm like, "Play drums alongside the DJ?" I was like, "Okay, I'll get up there and feel it out." So I went up there for about 10, 15 minutes. It was kind of a vibe. Performed, did the show with Trey for about an hour and change. Done. I'm mad tired. And Trey's manager, shout out to my brother George, was like, "Yo, you know who that was?" And I was like, "Nah." He was like, "Yo, bro, that was Victor Dre." For me, it takes extra second for me to get stuff sometimes. The way shit computes in my head, it's like a little slow. So he's like, "You heard me?" And I was like, "Yo, that's Victor Dre." And I'm like, his last name kind of sounds like the club. That's how I am. Like, and he's like, "Bro, that's the owner." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's dope, man." I'm humble. I'm not thinking nothing. I'm chilling. Just glad we did a dope show with Trey. And he's like, "Yo, they love you on the drums. They want to discuss giving you a residency." So I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "That's what like Trey has, and like Migos and Chris Brown." And it's like, you as an artist, you come in there and you perform weekly or bi-weekly or whenever they schedule to perform, and this is like home for you, like where you just perform on and on and on and on. And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And he's like, "So they're gonna reach out. We're gonna discuss the details, and we're gonna make it happen." And that was 7 years ago.
Wow.
So I've been at Drais nightclub, for 7 years as a drummer, and it's a very unique thing because, when you think about residencies, it's normally artists, legendary artists. Like Usher has one out there, Bruno Mars has one out there, J-Lo had a residency out there, Anita Baker. Boys to Men. So it's either artists, DJs, DJ Tiesto, the EDM DJs have it, or magicians, So for a drummer to have a residency is very unique and very different. So I'm definitely grateful to the whole Drais family for allowing me to be a part of the family and a part of the team. And shout out to my boy Flyboy Maestro that's here, my boy Dave Drake, Teaser, I'm probably tearing the name, Teaserlini. Residencies mean you made it. I don't know, man. There's always work to do. My bro Taylor made. There's always work to do. So that making it thing be like a weird word with me, because there's always something to do, or there's always a goal that you haven't achieved yet. But one thing I've learned to do is slow down, and smell it and smell the flowers. You know what I'm saying? Because we can be so focused on the next that we lose the moments that are here now, and moments that we've created that are legendary and monumental. And sometimes our humbleness gets to us, and we don't really see how big those moments are. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate everybody that ever celebrated me in any way, or gave me accolades for what it is that I do musically into the game. I appreciate you all.
Speaking of accolades, you worked with Young M.A. So some of the female rappers are coming real big in New York. So what's your take on the female rappers of New York, real, and not just New York, but really what before you couldn't even count on one hand the female rappers at a certain point. Now it's like you can use multiple. So what is your take, you know, work with young MAs, like how the female rappers are, this is like their time to shine.
I think it's incredible, you know, and you got to remember, like, there was the artist that gave me my first moment was Foxy Brown, you know, and that's a female artist and a female rapper. So there's a big level of respect and admiration that I have, you know, for any female artist, whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B. It's a very tough business. It's tough overall, but I feel like it's a lot more difficult for the female artists or creative because, you know, you have dudes that are not real kings and real men, you know, that like to take advantage of and prey on, you know, women who are to be protected and loved and nurtured and making sure that they're taken care of. So, you know, there's a lot of, you know, cowards out here that do the opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's a level of homage, a certain level of homage that I pay females and just a level of respect that I give them in all that I do. So, you know, in Young May, one of the dopest lyricists, period, out of any female. Like, you know, I don't know if people that not really listening or like, yo, Young May is a problem. We did 8 songs, you know, on her album. You know, Petty Wop, Rich Nigga ID. We did so many. I'm running out of the titles, but we did a lot of records for her. Car Confessions, and she's a real dope artist, real lyricist. Take her time, really put her all into her records. We worked hand in hand throughout the whole project, a real one. You know, so definitely shout out to all of the, you know, the MCs, the female MCs that's doing their thing. I see Scarlett. Scarlett is definitely doing her thing.
Ice Spice.
Ice Spice.
Lola Brooke, I think her name is. And a few.
It's a lot of dope artists that's doing their thing right now. Coyle Ray's on fire. Lotto is on fire.
Glorilla.
Yes. Glorilla. Yeah, there's a lot of dope females. You know, you got to kick the door down, man. Ain't nobody gonna let you in. Ain't nobody gonna let you in, whether you're male or female. You know, you got to be able to be aggressive and be willing to kick that door down and show them like, yeah, I'm here. I do what I do. God put me here, and I'm here to stay. You know what I mean? So that's got to be your energy around it.
I'm going to take a little spin on this. I was like, yo, he's from the Millenial, and I'm going to drop some few questions. So I'm going to take it back. For if y'all don't know what the Millennials is, he's from the 80s to like the mid-90s. That's our thing. So I want to toss a little something at you. Questions. BlackBerry or Sidekick?
BlackBerry. I love the BlackBerry.
All right. I peeped that you went to a New Jersey Hockey's game. So, is it the Devils or Rangers?
Devils. I go with a love is at. I go with
FYI, if you haven't been to a hockey game, go in person. It's actually fun.
Like, it was one of the greatest experiences ever. Shout out to Alex from the New Jersey Devils. Shout out to my boy Tobias Eats, who introduced me, you know, to the whole Devils team. Like, they're amazing. The hospitality is phenomenal. Yeah, I go where the love is at, man. So I'm rolling with the New Jersey Devils. And they beat the Rangers.
Good point. Heroes or chopped cheese?
Heroes.
Thank you. All right, I think we're on the same page now.
Okay.
I'm as a hero go. Turkey with the salt and pepper, oil and vinegar. Oh yes, that was me growing up. Yes. The Bronx or Vegas? Oh, that looks like this to me. It kind of looks distorted. That looks like this.
Big Bronx energy. If it's ever a choice between my borough and any place in the world, Big Bronx. Now, I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying I represent the Bronx. So it's always going to be Bronx over everything. Period.
I will say, though, I mean, you will get some cabs, you know, walking in the Bronx. You will get exercise. And, yeah, you might have some rats, size of cats. But definitely they're small but mighty. But Vegas, because I peeped that you like Vegas, too. My God, those mountains. Oh, my God.
We got mountains in New York. We got mountains in New York. We got mountains in New York.
Yeah. It ain't like Vegas, though. You're on a mountain in the Bronx.
She be having mad Bronx jokes, y'all. She was real disrespectful a few days ago. But I give her a pass. You know, she ain't mean it. She ain't mean it.
It's all right. Small but mighty. You know, spread love. It wasn't the Bronx way. It was the Brooklyn way. So, gotta say that.
Okay.
Cassettes or CDs?
Hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you why I asked that, because I remembered in one of your interviews you say you used to listen to Walkmans at night because you couldn't really listen
I'm
to.
gonna go with cassettes, right? Because like those are the first things I've ever had. You know, so like that was my introduction. Not my intro. Yeah, that was because my mom and dad didn't play my version of hip hop or music that I love. Like I had to actually buy the cassette tapes to, you know, the music that I love. So I would choose cassette tapes. Now, when you think about from an easier thing to deal with, you would say a CD because you could just skip to the next song by pressing the button. But I love, you know, like that whole rewind and like creating my own mixtapes.
Putting that paper and
Yeah,
the tape.
that was dope. That was a dope era.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Super Nintendo.
I'm gonna give you that for certain games.
Super Nintendo.
Speaking of games, Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Ooh, I gotta go Street Fighter.
Who's your favorite character on there?
Either Ken or Ryu.
Top two, mine was Cammy. I can do some things with Cammy.
You know, like, yeah, Ken or Ryu. I think Ken, because Ken had he had the blonde hair and he had the red gi, the red karate gi. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
I want no smoke with me on Street Fighter.
I might have to challenge you to that one day.
Let's go.
If you played this, I'm gonna see if you did. Street of Rage or Golden Axe?
Streets of Rage is mine. Streets of Rage is fire. I never played. Did I play Golden Axe? I might have, but Streets of Rage.
That was your thing. Mine, I liked the little kid with the skates.
Yeah, man. Streets of Rage. Why are you taking it back?
Oh, if you're a millennial, you'll know.
Word.
WWF or WCW?
WWF. Jake the Snake, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Don't forget Razor
the
Ramon.
Bushwhackers. Come on, man.
Don't forget Razor Ramon, 1-2-3 Kid at that time, Ric Flair.
Yes. Wow.
Yes. Now, T-Mobile, mobile to mobile, or Sprint, Nextel, Chirp, and free incoming calls.
Ooh. All right, run it down again. Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Ooh.
Yes. Now, so all y'all Gen Zers that have unlimited text, unlimited talk, there was a point in time that this didn't happen. So some of the cell phones like T-Mobile, they had mobile to mobile. So if you talk to another T-Mobile person, it was free until like 9 or 7. Then you had Sprint or Nextel that had the chirp. And incoming calls was free.
Yo.
So which one were you? T-Mobile or Sprint Nextel?
Hold on. No. There was also, was it T-Mobile? I forgot who it was, that the calls were free after either 7 or 9.
Sprint. Or singular, depending. I think you had to pay
I did have Sprint. I used to love that. Now the chirp was fire. I was gonna pick the chirp, but I think what resonated with me more was that after a certain time the calls are free. That to me was fire. So I know you didn't have that in there, but we got to add that one.
Yes.
After the 9 p.m. calls being free was fire.
And it went a little something like this. Before that time, yo, call me after 9.
Word.
And you still had a house phone. So that was pretty fun. I had to kind of.
That was super dope.
Yes. So real quick, we're about to wrap this up. We spoke about your book. Where can people get your book?
Yes, I saw some people ask in the comments. So the link is actually in my profile. So if you click on the link in my profile, it'll take you directly to purchase the book. And what's dope is that the books actually come directly from me. I'm the one that I sign all the books. I package the books. I deliver them to the post office. It's coming from me directly. There's no middleman. There's no company that's doing it from me. So when you get the story of Amadeus and the beat goes on, know that it's coming directly from my house to my hands, you know, to your house, into your hands. So, but like I said, the link is in my my profile. Excuse me. Click the link. It'll take you right to it. If you want to visit the website, it's www.iamkingamadeus.com. Like my sister just actually commented just there. Yep. www.iamkingamadeus.com is the website. But like I said, it's in my profile. You can click right on it. It'll take you directly to it. And I'll sign it, get it out to you ASAP, and you'll enjoy the story of Amadeus as the beat goes on. Shout out to my brother Taylor Made. You know, he said the book is dope. So Taylor Made is, if everybody that's on has seen my Bronx jacket, my Bronx Letterman jacket. It's not a moment for you to hate, Queen. It's not a moment for you to hate. He actually made a Brooklyn one too. So if you want the Brooklyn one too, holla at him. All right, but I'm gonna talk about the Bronx jacket because you know the Bronx jacket is where I'm from. But he made the Bronx jacket with the areas in the Bronx going down the sleeve. He's done the same for Brooklyn. But yeah, shout out to my brother Taylor Made Lifestyle LLC. My brother, super proud of him. So if you want, he actually just made the Harlem jackets too. So he has a Bronx jacket, he has a Brooklyn jacket, and he has a Harlem jacket that he just created, and it's fire. So follow my brother, get you that jacket. If you're from the Bronx, get you a Bronx jacket. If you're from Brooklyn, get you a Brooklyn jacket. If you're from Harlem, get you a Harlem jacket. You heard?
And also, do you still do one-on-ones?
You know what? I haven't. Thank you for bringing that up. I haven't done it in a while. It's been really hectic. I haven't had the time to actually do them. I do still want to do them. Basically, it's to sit down with Amadeus. Is what the Queen's talking about, where it allows creatives to have a one-on-one conversation with me. I was doing it prior to the pandemic. We were doing it into studios, and then once the pandemic hit, I started doing it virtually. So I do it via Zoom. So it's a moment to just kind of kick it with me, ask whatever questions you need to ask, allow me to hear your music, get advice, information, knowledge, wisdom. And it's been absolutely incredible. So I'll probably bring that back soon. So if I do, I'll definitely post it on my Instagram for those to see. So I thank you for bringing that up. Shout out to my brother Max that just pulled up. Super dope artist, actor, writer. My boy Max just pulled up. Shout out to Nicole Porsche, another actress from New Orleans that's doing great things, man. Y'all won't pull up all late, man. Y'all pulling up. We about to leave. Hey Max, I got some send you a new pack, bro. I'm sending you a new pack. You heard?
Does anybody have a question for Amadeus before we wrap it up? Anybody has a question?
My brother just signed in. Everybody pull it up now.
I know.
We done.
You know how we be.
Shout out to my brother, man. My brother, my real brother. So when I say my sister, my brother, like my real sister, like my blood sister, my mama and daddy, my real blood brother from my mama and daddy. His name is Chef J. Thompson. He just pulled up in there. Incredible cook, incredible chef. Great at what he does in the kitchen. You know, and he's continuing on in his legacy. My sister's an amazing artist, singer, songwriter, dancer, dance instructor. So, you know, we're definitely a family of great talent, and everybody is walking in their own light and using their gifts that God has blessed us all with. So shout out to my brother and my sister, you know, that's here and love support. My other baby sister just came home from college. She did very well, you know, in college this year. Yeah, man, my nephew is playing sports, doing this thing. My son is playing sports, doing this thing, about to graduate and go to college, which is absolutely nuts. My princess is about to graduate. You know, God is good, man. God is good. So
two questions that came up. Taylor Made asked, what is next for you?
Man, what isn't? You know, still
booked and busy.
Yeah, you know, Drais is going. I got a few shows coming up with Trey. We haven't performed together since December. So we got a few shows coming up first weekend in June, one in Atlanta, one in Nashville, one in Nebraska, and one in Alabama. Still, you know, Drais nightclub. June is coming, so it's graduation month. So I have a few commencement speeches to do at a few schools. I do have a few visits left with the book, The Story of Amadeus and the Beat Goes On. So that, still producing. Got a lot of new music on the way. So yeah, and you know, just working. Summer, you know, a lot of schools are open during the summer, so there's a lot of things that can be done, you know, during the summer. And just most importantly, like I said earlier, it's just about being okay. It's about being you know, in great spirits, and your spirit and your mind and your mental being in a good place. I think that's more important than any other thing you can be doing in life. So I think just making sure that I'm good. I'm bike riding again. It's nice. The weather's nice in New
Team
York.
bike
You know what I'm
riders.
saying? Gonna slim down again. You know, get my 6-pack on. You know what I'm saying? But everything is good, man. Everything is.
Somebody asked, I think it was Starson Arson, do you still talk to Fox? I'm going to assume Jamie Foxx.
Probably talking about Foxy Brown.
Foxy Brown, yeah, you're right.
Me and Foxy have DM'd each other. We haven't spoken in a while, but you know, we do speak here on Instagram via DM. Just want to check in, or she'll let me know what she's got going on, and she, you know, she supported the book, and sometimes she pops in on a live. You just never know. You never know who will pop in. So, you know, big shout out to Foxy, man. I'm trying to get it back out here. I
would love to interview her. I mean, if that could be. So,
trying to get it back out here.
Everybody got to take a break. You took a break. Trey had to take a break to situate certain things. The importance of taking a break.
Absolutely.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. This was an amazing conversation. Thank you for having me. And y'all follow this queen, and you know, she has a really dope show. Like I said, I saw her when she was interviewing the one and only legend, Vinny of Naughty by Nature, who's one of the first hip hop artists I ever had the cassette tape for. You know, so when I seen her doing that, and it was such a dope conversation, man, I had to get on, you know, holler at her in the DMs, man, and be like, yo, can I get on? Can I get in? Can I get on? Can I get in? And she greeted me with open arms. So appreciate you. You know, thank you so much. Thank you for the conversation. We locked in.
Yes, and I appreciate that because, you know, as a podcaster, you know, one woman show, I have to reach out to people. So it's nice for a change when people reach out to me.
Letting you know you're doing great things.
Credentials.
That's letting you know you're doing great things, man. So keep up the great work, you know, and keep doing what you're doing, man. People see you. They act like they don't see you, but they see you. I'm not one to be in the background, see you doing great and be quiet. Now I'm going to tell you you're doing great. You know what I'm saying? If something comes together for us both to do something, cool. But if not, cool too. But it's still about you getting the acknowledgement and being acknowledged for what you do. So salute to you. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So if y'all miss any parts of this, I will be uploading it on my YouTube and a few clips on my Instagram, so stay tuned. Follow me at The Focal Spot. Please follow my YouTube. I am trying to get paid. I'm not going to lie. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my podcast, The Focal Spot Podcast. And that's all.
Hey, shout out to my big brother, Bink, the humble monster, one of the illest producers in the world that just pulled up, man. Santorini, Greece is one of my most favorite records by Rick Ross that Big produced. I listen to that every day on my bike ride, just musically, sonically, what he's done. He's created so many records for Jay-Z and Puff and Camera Lights. I'm tearing the joint. Camera Lights Action, Lights Camera Action for
Mr.
Cheeks. Yeah, he produced that.
Oh, wow.
So y'all need to, yeah, man. Matter of fact, y'all, we should connect so you can have a conversation with him. He's one of my favorite producers of all time. And shout out to Bing. I love you, big bro. Appreciate you, man. But much love to everybody. Appreciate y'all coming out, sis. Have a fun time in DR. Y'all have fun. Get off the phone. Jump in the beach or the pool or something. Queen Con, see you. Hey, blessings, everybody.
All right, so take care.
All right, y'all.
Bye.